for someone that is foreign to prayer, what would be the steps to take to get a little bit more, like, to get a little bit more serious about prayer?
Yeah, so I think that sometimes people misinterpret the development of a prayer life, saying that, if I can somehow achieve higher levels of prayer with deep intimacy with God, then that can be done without ever experiencing the more structured and disciplined prayer. I don't think that's true. And there are many things that can be said about the prayer of the church, the liturgy of the hours, the Rosary, the Divine Mercy Chaplet, praying the Psalms together, praying from prayer books, or, when it comes down to it, attendance at Holy Mass. All of these things have formulas of words which are assigned to them by the church herself. One of the great benefits of that is that they won't lapse into heresy. There's nothing worse than, like, you and me and some friends getting into a room together and we're going to spontaneously pray together, and all of a sudden somebody says something which, like, is like contradictory to the First Nicene Council or something. You know what I mean? In other words, or is a misunderstanding about the true nature of Jesus. One of the great things about the formulas of prayer that we're given and that we should learn by heart is that they're grounded in Catholic truth. The church is teaching her children how to pray through them. And so the words, not just the discipline, but the words themselves are important and deeply beautiful. I've been praying the Psalms for so long now as a priest that there are moments when those words come to me out of nowhere, and they're always what I need in that moment of jubilation or of devastation. And that's because they've come deep inside of me. They've worked their way into my marrow, my bone, my imagination, everything. And the Rosary does that. The Divine Mercy Chaplet does that. And then, more than anything, the Mass itself. The Mass is a great orchestration of formulaic beauty, and very important. And so the flexing of that muscle is deeply important. And so I think that is the place to start for all of us, whether we learned Angel of God, my guardian dear, to whom God's love, and, or whether we're praying, the Memorare or the Magnificat or any of those things. And then the next thing that I would say is not to overcomplicate things. We need silence. Now, that's very distinct from the kind of prayer that we were just talking about, because oftentimes that prayer is oral, or at least it's a meditation that corresponds to an active mind. But silence, and I think the church has been very, very clear about this, especially in modern times in which there's so much noise and distraction, for us simply to say, God, for you, every day, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes of silence in which my mind is yours, in which I will gaze upon you. I think here of that famous scene of the Curé of Ars, St. John Vianney. Do you remember there was an old farmer who came into the church every day and knelt there, or sat there in the church in Ars? And one day, the Curé d'Ars, the St. John Vianney, came to him and said, what do you say to the good God when you come here every day? And the man said, I don't say anything. I look at him, he looks at me, and it's beautiful. This, of course, is extraordinary. Those are high reaches of prayer. And then within that silence, then to begin, as I said before, to relate one's thoughts, feelings, and desires, and to receive love in and around one's wounds and needs. All of that is part and parcel of the building of a prayer life.